Welcome to Tuesdays with Terry. We're very excited. It's episode 12 of the show, and we have two great guests this week and excited to get started. So Miranda, it's great to have you as part of the show today.
It's really great to be here. I'm excited.
Excellent. So of the Registrar's team, you're our first guest on the show.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's luck, right? How that worked out, or
I wanted to be on the show.
Okay,
I thought it was
perfect.
cool. I'm a
Yeah.
people person, and I
Uh-huh.
don't think that the Registrar's office puts itself out there maybe as much as we should. So
Okay.
I was really excited to come on and get a little bit more visibility for the Registrar's office.
awesome. So we're going to talk Registrar's office
Okay.
today. We're going to talk all things kind of Aquinas, and then get to know Miranda a little more.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So part of the show is we try to learn from our guests, like, how did you get to Aquinas? Like, what was your path, kind of? Did you always want to be in the Registrar's office or not? What's your journey here?
So my story, I think, is a little unique because this is actually my first higher ed job.
Okay.
And I don't think that the Registrar's office is usually a place where somebody starts in higher ed because it's very technical and requires a lot of understanding of just like the inner workings of higher education. So prior to being at Aquinas, I was actually a chemist.
Okay.
And at Perigo, I did quality control and actually some like analytical research and development kind of stuff, but it was not for me. I spent a lot of time by myself and I'm a people person and it just wasn't a good fit. So when I thought about, okay, what do I want to do? Higher ed was just an immediate thing for me. I was an RA in college. I worked in admissions in college, and college was just like my favorite time of life, honestly.
Yeah.
So I couldn't think of a better place to come back to than a college. And so I started applying around, and I really think that it was just meant to be that I found Aquinas because it was a really unique situation. As most people know, the Registrar's office was kind of starting from the ground up, and that's an environment that I thrive in. I have really enjoyed getting to build processes and make things kind of what we want them to be and figuring out all of the puzzles and how to make everything work together. So yeah, that's kind of how I wound up here.
No, that's great. And when you think back to like your kind of career journey, and as you mentioned, chemist for a while, like what are some of those kind of skills? I mean, you mentioned kind of the analytical, looking at the details. What are some of the skills that kind of naturally came across?
Yeah, so I'm naturally a very technical person. I understand colleague, our like kind of internal software really, really well. Everything about it just clicks for me. And I think that goes well with my chemistry background because it was a lot of like moving pieces and understanding how changing this part of the solution would impact the results like 12 steps down. So being able to tie that to colleague use has really been helpful.
Wonderful. Well, we're excited you're here, and we want to thank obviously the office as well because a lot of the changes and a lot of the growth that we've seen in the last year has been exciting. So thank you.
Yeah, and it's a great team. I really love the Registrar's
It is a good
office.
team, and we're going to see some of that fun come out, I think, here today. And so one of the segments of the show that we get to talk about is Biscuits Corner. And you've sent in some photos.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about what pets you're featuring today.
So I have two dogs, Lincoln, which is the littler one, and then Lacey, who's the one that looks really guilty in the picture. She's got some of the most expressive eyes I've ever seen in a dog. They're both Cocker Spaniel Poodle mixes. Lacey is a little bit more Cocker Spaniel. Lincoln, or as we call him, Bubba, is much more poodle and has that like tiny little poodle brain. So he's not the smartest, but they're really great dogs. I love them. They bring so much life to my house.
Excellent, excellent. And how long have they been with the family, with your family?
Lacey, we got them both as puppies.
Okay.
Lacey we got shortly after we moved to Michigan. So it's been like 5 years, I think, since we've had Lacey. And Lincoln just short of 4. So we got them pretty close together. Yeah.
Excellent. So one of the things with the show that I know is not probably your favorite, because I've heard before the show that you like to be really prepared for the questions that are coming. So as we transition into rapid fire, you have a colleague here that's going to support you. So we're going to take a second here at Tuesdays with Terry, and Miranda's going to get a boost from her colleague.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. You're ready.
Yeah, I'm as ready as
All
I
right.
can be.
Thank you, Grace, for your support. We appreciate it. Rapid fire questions.
Okay.
All right. The one I'm going to start with is one that you may have heard before.
Okay.
If you could spend an afternoon with a ghost or a vampire, which one would you choose?
Ooh, oh my gosh, a ghost. I think I'd be in less danger with a ghost.
Okay. Okay. Do you prefer gloves or mittens?
Gloves. I like having all my fingers.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Mittens are the ones that are.
Mittens
okay,
are. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Just gotta make sure. So I have a 3-year-old and he gets them confused and he tells me that they're all mittens. So
Okay. No, that's awesome. I
gotta
love
make
that.
sure.
Your favorite cheese?
A really sharp cheddar.
Okay.
Like really sharp.
Like shredded or from the block?
From the block, but I
Okay.
want it to be like so sharp that it's like a little gritty. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Yeah.
Like Parmesan type gritty?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yes.
That's very good. Your favorite cookie?
Ooh. Oh, I don't know. A good no-bake.
Okay.
My
okay.
mom couldn't make no-bakes growing up. She
Okay.
could bake anything, but she couldn't make a no-bake. So
Okay. Excellent.
no-bakes are treasured.
Excellent. If you could go anywhere, if right now we said, okay, Miranda, you have a plane ticket to anywhere, but you have to leave in 30 minutes, where would you go?
Italy.
Okay. Well, that's a very. Have you been to Italy before?
I haven't. So I haven't done a whole lot of abroad traveling,
Okay.
but Italy is on like the top of
The
my
top
list.
of the list.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you for being a part of the show today. This is great. You did well.
Yeah, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, that wasn't that bad. Do you think the prep helped?
Yes, of course the
Well,
prep.
since you had the prep, we're going to do one more.
Oh boy. Okay.
Your favorite, or actually, it doesn't necessarily have to be your favorite, but your most memorable elementary school memory. If you think elementary school, what pops into your head?
Oh gosh. I remember in 6th grade we used to do classroom dances. This is definitely not a favorite because it was 6th grade and things were awkward. But I remember that we used to just like push all of the desks to the outside of the room and like they'd turn the lights off and we'd play music and pretend that it was like a middle school dance. I think that we did that like 2 or 3 times a year, and that was just in 6th grade. And that is something that will maybe haunt me forever.
Wow. So you, a middle school dance memory.
Yeah.
Or early junior high.
Early junior high. We
high
didn't
dancing.
have, I went to a really small school, so elementary school went up to 6th grade, and then
Okay.
7th grade started high school.
Okay.
So that was like the very end of elementary school, and that was like the special thing that we got to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not your favorite.
No, no. Looking back, it was awkward then, and it's even more awkward looking back at it now. I understand what they were trying to do, but it was just maybe a little weird.
Well, thank you for sharing. Well, it's been great to have this brief conversation with you. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for new things from the Registrar's office over the next year as well. So
Yep.
Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We'll be right back with our next guest on Tuesdays with Terry. Thank you. Welcome back to Tuesdays with Terry. We're very excited to have our next guest join us. Catherine, thank you. Thank you for coming down and joining us on the show.
Absolutely.
So one of the things we do with our guests, we're talking all things Aquinas, which you and I both think very fondly of this place. And, part of that is learning about our colleagues that are here. So tell us a little bit about your journey to Aquinas, if you would. Yeah,
of course.
like how did you end up here with us?
Well, about 10 years ago, I was living in Chicago. I had been in that job for 11 years and decided I needed a change. But mostly I needed trees.
Okay, yeah.
Not enough trees for me in Chicago. So
Yeah.
my folks were living over here in West Michigan.
Okay.
I moved over to just help out with them, had a consulting business for a while, then started with Paws with a Cause down in Wayland.
Okay.
And they are a fantastic service dog organization. I still donate to them regularly. And then the position of Director of Annual Giving opened up here, and it was on my bucket list for things I
Okay.
always wanted to try. So,
Yeah.
first time in higher ed.
So as you adjusted from Paws with a Cause, that's right? Yep, Paws with a Cause to Aquinas College, what were some things gained your excitement, that fed that energy? Because you have wonderful energy. What kept that kind of really going forward?
Chris Laporte was a huge part of that. one of my very first projects here, I needed to work on a letter from someone to our donors, just saying thank you and please give us some more money for what we do. I was talking to Chris one day and I said, I really need a student who fits these criteria. And he goes, oh, yeah, I got that. And he pulls out his phone and he just starts texting someone. And he's like, I just sent them your information. You'll be in touch. And I was like, you just know your students? You just know your alumni? You're in touch like that? And that has been representative of every professor and staff member I've talked to. The community here is like nothing I've ever seen before. It's really incredible, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it.
And I think that's the piece, right? We think of advancement, and when Scott and I talk, and we talk about developing relationships with the college, like it's a great feeling to tell our story. And like telling our story is really telling each individual story of each individual's experience with Aquinas College. And I think that speaks to it as well. And whenever you think about like your day to day, what are some of the things that really give you kind of joy in the work that you do?
I love my job because no day is ever the same.
Okay.
I get to go out and meet interesting people, learn their stories. Sometimes I get to sit down with spreadsheets and just focus on spreadsheets. Sometimes it's writing. Sometimes it is hauling 50 pounds of equipment to an event over at WEGI. But my day is always going to be fascinating.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We're very, very glad you're here. One of the segments of our show, and we talked about this before we got started, is called Biscuits Corner, where we talk about pets. We talk about, how intertwined our pets get with us.
Oh, yeah.
And you mentioned Diva Dog. So as part of Biscuits Corner, tell us about Diva Dog.
All right. So her nickname is actually Diva Dog. Her true name, her government name was Katie Mack.
Okay.
Because God bless my parents, when they find a name, they stick with it. So I am Catherine. She was Katie. So I insisted on calling her Diva Dog.
Okay.
And she did need a middle name because she was trouble and she needed to be double named as often as possible.
Okay.
But that 15-pound Jack Russell.
Okay.
For those of you who had a Jack Russell, they call him Jack Russell Terrorist for a reason. She ran the house. And she just had a schedule. She had a system. She had ways, and that you had to just follow what she wanted to do at all times, or the drama would commence. When we took her to the vet, she had what we call the leggy of woe.
Okay.
So she would sit down and pop up her back leg and just shake it like it was broken. And the vet tech would come in and go, oh, hello, Katie. Is your leg broken again? Okay, I will carry you around. And that was her thing. When she went to the vet, she had to be carried everywhere, and everyone had to come and say hello to her. She was very beloved everywhere she went, but my goodness, she was a handful.
So it sounds like as long as the schedule was met and the agreed upon timeline,
Yes.
everything was fine.
Everything was fine. And if you stepped out of line, Diva Dog would have one of her diva moments.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So the other part that we love to do to get to know our guests a little bit more is rapid fire questions.
Bring it on.
So this is to get to know Catherine as well.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
No, let's go.
Okay, let's go. What's your favorite cheese?
Ooh, Gouda.
Okay. Your favorite cookie?
Chocolate chip.
Do you prefer gloves or mittens?
Gloves.
Any reason why?
Well, to be completely transparent, I like convertible mittens that have the little fingerless gloves
Yep,
that you can put up and over.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
So a combo of the two. Okay.
They're warmer, but you can do more with your hands.
Okay. Your favorite ice cream?
Ooh, Rocky Road.
Okay. If we were to go right now and say, okay, 30 minutes, you can get a plane ticket wherever you want to go, but you have to leave in 30 minutes, where would you go?
Las Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty you were set on that.
I have a list. I have a
Okay.
list, like a post-pandemic travel list. And
Okay.
I do not gamble. I do not party, but I really just enjoy how precise everything is in Vegas. And I like to wander around and pick apart all the ways that people spent billions of dollars putting this together.
There's an interesting, and I'll come back and I'll mention this, for the show, is today, really our guests have been about precision, if you think about it. Miranda was here. Miranda talked about being in the Registrar's office and thinking precision. We're talking about Vegas and Catherine wanting precision. Very, very interesting. So thank you. And one of our last questions for rapid fire is, when you think back to elementary school, what's one of the most memorable things that pops into your mind when you think elementary school?
We moved every single grade in elementary school.
Oh, wow.
And I got to a new elementary school, and the teacher called my mom at the end of the first week. And my mom goes, I know, she's really slow and she's kind of a pain. And the teacher goes, no, you have a very intelligent child and she needs to be in the gifted class immediately. And that was my first entry into talented and gifted, but that was also my first time with Mrs. Huff, who, she was a fantastic teacher in Florida. I love her to death. I contributed at her funeral. Like, she was just a wonderful, wonderful woman.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So that popped right in there.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming down stairs. You're right above the studio here in Homeding. So as we kind of move forward, we appreciate your work here at Aquinas, and we're glad you're part of our community here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Excellent show this week for Tuesdays with Terry. We're very thankful for our guests, thankful for the time that they spent with us. We're also looking forward to our future episodes where we have a great lineup coming. If you're interested being a guest on Tuesdays with Terry, please reach out at my email address, and we will continue to work forward in getting to know more things about Aquinas, but more things about the individuals that help make Aquinas who it is. So have a great week, and see you next time on Tuesdays with Terry.